Hey, this is Gray, and today is day 5 of looking at Psalm 78. Today is the last day, actually. I just want to say this: if you this content has been helpful for you, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll put a link just below on this video. There's loads more content there that you can watch, and I'll be producing them on a regular basis. So subscribe and you'll be notified, and I pray that this is a blessing to you. So going back into looking at Psalm 78, from today we'll do from verses 40 all the way up to 72. Again, not reading everything, but we're just picking out the little bits and pieces that can help us, that are very relevant to us right now in our lives. I mean, everything is relevant, but you know what I mean. So Psalm 78 from verse 40 says, "Oh, how they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved his heart in that dry wasteland. Again and again they tested God's patience and provoked the Holy One of Israel." So these are the Israelites, and Asaph, who wrote the Psalms, is recounting the deeds of the Israelites and just how really they tried and tested and sinned against God. But at the same time, he's just actually talking about God's goodness, that despite what they were doing, I mean, I'm just going to go back 2 steps, verses 38 and 39. I love this. He says, "Yet he was merciful and forgave their sins and did not destroy them all. Many times he held back his anger and did not unleash his fury, for he remembered that they were merely mortal, gone like a breath of wind that never returns." And the reasons why you and I sometimes, despite all the silliness that we do, is that God remembers that we're mere mortals. But now, even more so, is because we're in that period that we call grace, and because of the work that Jesus did on the cross. But at that time, they just kept testing God time and time again. And it says they tested God's patience and provoked the Holy One. How they did this is very simple. They did not remember his power, and they did not remember his miraculous signs and wonders. This is what you and I do most of the times. So if you think about it, in the things that we do, if we are not grateful for what God has done for us, if we do not remember who God is in our lives, in the actions that we do, we really are making God angry. Because here, that's what exactly they're saying. So Asa from here on goes on to talk about the things that God did for the Israelites while they were in Egypt. It says he took them out of Egypt. 53 says he kept them safe so they were not afraid, but the sea covered up their enemies. He says got them to a holy land, cleared out the land for him, and made them settle there. 56, but they kept testing and rebelling against God Most High. You and I, when we will look at how far we've come, the things that God has took us through. If you are like me, when you were younger, you didn't know what you knew about God, but you never followed him. And yet when you look back, you'll see that there were so many instances where you would have been dead. Things would have gone so wrong, but you're still here. Now, to get to a point that you are still living now and you're not giving gratitude to God in the way you live now, makes God angry. Because he has saved us from so many things. He's given us his son, Jesus Christ, who you and I know. So therefore, to give gratitude to him, we're supposed to live in a way that is pleasing to him, not holding on to idols, bringing other things that we start worshiping, our money, our cars, our buildings, our jobs. These are the things that we start to worship, but we're forgetting where we're coming from. These things are the things that makes God angry. These things that it's like we are being like the Israelites who are testing God again and again. When we read this, we're like, no, how could they do this? But we ourselves are doing it. So it's time that we turn the mirror around and start looking at ourselves and asking, am I really living for Jesus, God, or am I like the Israelites, just testing and trying his patience? The scary thing about this chapter, and it really does scare me, is verse 60, when he says that he abandoned his dwelling at Shiloh, the tabernacle where he had lived among the people. There came a time that God says, you know what, enough is enough. I'm not going to live with these people anymore. If you read through Exodus, you will see that God instructed the Israelites, build me a tabernacle where I will dwell in. And that's where God's dwelling place was, within the camp of the Israelites. But it came to 1 Samuel, I think 4 or thereabouts, when God was just so tired with what they're doing. He let that tabernacle be captured. And one of, I think it was Samuel's daughter-in-laws, she actually said that when she heard that the tabernacle was captured, she actually said that God has left Israel. God has left us. I don't want to be in a place where I wake up one day and God has abandoned me. That means there's absolutely no hope. I have hope now because I know I'll pray to God and know He is always there with me. I don't want to wake up to realize that God has left me. You will see this in the vision that Ezekiel had in chapter 10, where it actually showed the very presence of God just leaving the temple and just moving all the way up. That is possible in our life. Just because you're saved, let me tell you this, just because you're saved does not mean you can continue in sin and think that God is still going to be there for you. God will leave you. And you have seen this happening so many times where people that were priests or leaders and church leaders that were saved, it came a point where everything that we're doing was exposed. Because it was at that time when God just left them. He took His grace off of them, and all the silliness comes out in the public. I, for one, don't want to be there. And I'm sure you do not want to be there. So let us, as I finish the Psalms and as we think about our lives, let us remember that God loves us and has given us a mandate, first and foremost, to teach our children of His goodness, but to also to ensure that you and I continue serving Him and being grateful to the things that He has done for us. How are we being grateful? By following His commandments and following His laws. There, in that place, then we'll continue to worship and exalt Him. Anything less than that, then we're making God angry. And it will come a time when He will remove ourselves from Him. Because we always think that it will only happen in the end, but it can still happen now, when God will remove Himself from you. And that will be the end of you. I pray, my brother and sister, that time will not come for us. That once we've heard this, we'll keep it in mind and we'll walk on the path that God has destined for us. God bless you. And like I said, look, YouTube channel link is below. Subscribe and we'll be seeing you shortly. God bless you.